Was it pretty? No. Was it needed? 1,000,000,000%. Juventus 2, Pafos 0. Massive win. Massive 3 points. The second Champions League win of our campaign so far this season. And the first time we've gotten back-to-back UCL victory since the start of last season when we beat PSV on the opening match week. And I believe the Leipzig game was the second one when Bremer tore his ACL. But yeah, big win. Important win. We're going to dive into everything. It was a game of two halves, and one moment really switched up everything, in my opinion, which was the formation change. Something that I've been calling for a long time. Something that I literally explained in my video yesterday on my ideal starting 11, why we shouldn't play a 3 at the back and why we should play a 4 at the back. And what a surprise. We scored 2 goals almost immediately after switching to 4 at the back. We have more control in the offensive part of the football pitch. And you have players like Kenan, David, Openda, and Conceição all working together, moving the ball quickly. And that's another key point. We moved the ball quickly and we hit them in transition. And what happens? We scored 2 goals, and 2 nice goals as well. 2 simple goals, but goals that won us the game ultimately. And that formation change changed everything for me. But before we get into the whole analysis, make sure you comment below your thoughts on this game. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're so close to 20k subs. Can we hit it by the end of the year? Maybe. You never know. But hopefully start of next year. Like the video if you enjoyed. Share it to some friends. And without further ado, let's dive into it. As you can see from the stats, we dominated most of the game overall. 62% ball possession compared to Pafos' 38%. We had 2.58 expected goals compared to their 1.11. We had 26 total shots, over double the amount of theirs. And we had 4 big chances, 4 times as many as them. And overall, the momentum was all us. I do want to say, though, this is quite skewed because, in my opinion, at half-time, looking back on it, Pafos had the better chances in the first half. And they actually looked like the more promising team. They looked more on the front foot. They looked more hungry. It was definitely them to nick the next goal, you would say, over the basis of the first 45 minutes, which was a bit worrying at halftime. I was a bit like, damn, man, this first half couldn't have really gone any worse for us. Actually could have if we went 1-0 down or 2-0 down. But same mistakes, same errors, defending set pieces. I haven't seen many other Juventus creators really talk about the lack of defending on set pieces. But to me, it's concerning because I've said this numerous times already this season. We can't defend corners. Not defending corners is almost shooting yourself in the foot because every opposition will understand and analyze that's our weakness. So they're going to mount pressure in the final third to try and get as many corners as possible. And typically we concede a good 5 to 6 minimum a game in general. So that's 5 or 6 guaranteed chances because they just float one into the box or take it short and float it into the box. And because we mark zonally, we're not able to clear the ball effectively. And even today, Pafos had a good few opportunities in that first half. A good 2 or 3 from corners. Likewise to the first half in the Napoli game, where they almost scored. Di Gregorio pulled off a good save on, I think, 2 of them. One on the edge of the box, one on another header. And they headed a few narrowly wide. So it's worrying defending set pieces. This is something that we need to iron out of our game. This is something that we need to work on in the training ground. And we got some tall players on the pitch as well. So we need to attack the ball. First to the ball is very basic stuff. You learn this when you're very young playing football. So we need to improve defensively on corners. And just a couple other lapses in judgment, really. I mean, there was one chance towards the start of the game when Kelly, again, got caught slipping on the near post where I think it was Silva came across goal. And in the end, he flicked it and it was just wide. But again, it's just like checking your surroundings. There, Lloyd Kelly has to be aware that a runner's coming on his left shoulder. He was staring at the ball because it came down this side here. McKennie was a bit out of position. So he was defending against Correa. Correa whips it across. And Kelly's not aware zonally of where the offensive players are. And Silva runs across him, gets to the ball first, just like the Højlund goal. It was a carbon copy. And luckily it went wide. And luckily it wasn't a super good position for this guy to finish, or else he probably would have scored. And it's just lapses in judgment like that in the first half that were just giving Pafos a lifeline, giving Pafos encouragement to keep pressing us and keep mounting pressure. And as I said, I do believe in the first half, Pafos were actually the team that were looking more likely to score. Apart from that Yildiz shot in the first half, we didn't have anything. I mean, there was confusion on everything. Koopmeiners taking the free kick instead of Zagrova. I didn't understand that. Just overall poor performances from a couple of the players. I thought Miretti was sloppy in the first half. I thought Locatelli was sloppy. Cambiaso was sloppy in the first half. These guys definitely improved in the second half, those that carried on playing. But it was just like sloppy passes, moving the ball way too slowly, stuff that we've seen time and time again this season. But in the second half, as I said, everything changed when Spalletti opted for a 4-back. On the change as well, what happened was we subbed off Locatelli, we brought on Openda, and it became a 4-2-3-1. So Kelly, it was Cambiaso dropped into left back. Koopmeiners came into the midfield. Then you had Yildiz, Openda, David, and Conceição because Zagrova came off. Then you had Miretti and Koopmeiners as the double pivot. And then you had Kalulu. You had McKennie as the right back, Kalulu as the right centre back. Yeah, that's what it was. Sorry, I was just confusing thinking about it and then looking at this formation. But that's what it was. And it worked well because we kept hold of the ball better. We weren't as sloppy. We were hitting them in transition and we were creating dangerous opportunities. And both goals came from that. The McKennie goal was a really good finish on the near post. Honestly, Mr. Michael in goal should have done better, no doubt about it. If you get done on your near post as a keeper, it's not great, is it? But it was a really good finish from Weston McKennie, who seems to always like to score in the Champions League for us. He's a big game UCL player for us, for sure, which is really nice. And I thought he improved a lot in that second half. And let's be real, McKennie's had to play in every single role this season. Wing back, centre back, centre mid, 8, 6, 9, 10, winger. So he's done a really good job, and that was a really good finish from him in my opinion. And then the second goal was really good transition play. We moved the ball super fast, something that we weren't doing in the first half, and Kenan does really well in my opinion, as the captain in that moment as well, by the way, because Locatelli was hooked off, to play a cross goal to Jonathan David, who I say finally scored. He scored in the last Champions League game, but he gets another goal. And that's important for his confidence because in the first half, he missed a really big chance, actually thinking about it, when he put it wide with his back to goal from, I think it was a corner, the chance came. But it was a good finish from him and something that was needed. And overall, it gives us confidence moving forward. So I think the 4 at the back definitely changed everything. I think for me, Spalletti has to continue with that system going into the Bologna and the Roma games because those two are must-win games. If we win those two, we're in a good position for getting Champions League qualification by the end of the season. And opting for this 3-back, for me, it does nothing. As I've said on numerous occasions, the 3-back really just hinders us. It doesn't help us whatsoever. It's a weird system. It doesn't suit our players. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't really understand why Spalletti's been so adamant on continuing this. I was never really a fan of it when we had Allegri. I was never a fan of it when we had Igor Tudor. I'm not a fan of it when we had Spalletti. I've never been a fan of it apart from the days when we had Antonio Conte, when it actually worked and the players we had suited it. Now with the players we have, I've said it time and time again, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, similar system. But I think at the minute, I'll probably say 4-2-3-1 maybe works a bit better with David and Openda. David in the 10, Openda as a number 9, and those two can sort of move around and alternate alongside Kenan. It's a very free-flowing team, I would say. But I think that would almost be the best solution, let's call it, for going forward. In terms of like player ratings, of course, these are FOTMob's ratings. I do think they're a little bit high just because of the score. I don't think the scoreline actually does the performance. I don't think it matches almost. I think Di Gregorio had a good game in goal. He got caught slipping at the end when I think one of their players sort of came around. It was a foul in the end, but that's just something to note. But overall, no, he made a really good saves throughout the game. He kept us in it in the first half. So Di Gregorio, I'd probably give him like a 7, 7.5. 8.2 is a bit high. I thought Kalulu was definitely the best out of the 3 at the back. Koopmeiners' positioning today was confusing at times. I thought Kelly, especially that mistake when he got caught slipping on the near post, sort of lowers him. But still, they were okay. These guys, I'd probably give them like 5.5, 6s, with Kalulu being probably 6.5, a little bit better of the 3, as I said. McKennie, of course, scored, but 8.6 is a little bit high. Of course, he covered a lot of ground. He got his goal and he took it well. But the first half, McKennie wasn't in the game. Second half, he was. I'd probably give Weston like 6.5, 7. Locatelli, 7.9 is very high in my opinion. Just moved the ball really slowly today. However, what I did like about Locatelli's performance today was his break-up play, his tackling, his winning the ball back, his aggression, his determination in the middle of the park, which was very, very useful. When we were just really giving away stupid turnovers, he would win it back for us. Miretti, honestly, 7.2 is way too high for myself. Of course, I rate myself. I like the fact that Miretti started. I was calling for it in my 11 yesterday. I said, look, Fabio Miretti needs to be playing in this Juventus team because in the middle of the park, in the midfield, we don't have too much going on. We don't have a lot of personnel. We kind of needed a bit of fresh air. But today, he was just too slow on the ball. He made a lot of sloppy passes. I didn't think it was the best performance from him today. Cambiaso as well. Cambiaso, 8.4. Again, a bit high. I know he got the assist to McKennie, and it was actually a nice ball. But a lot of the time, Cambiaso wasn't playing in the correct final pass, or he was... The thing is with Cambiaso is, right, I believe his deliveries are some of the best in the team. So when I see him putting in half-hearted crosses, it's like, I know that's not his level. I know it can be a lot higher. And he was everywhere today. He was, so I'll give him credit there. But second half, he massively improved. Kenan, just as good as ever, really. Just creating problems in the first half and the second half. Created the most chances in the match with 4. Good performance from him as always. Jonathan David in the first half, his hold-up play wasn't there. He missed that big chance. But in the second half, when we switched to a 4-back, he improved massively and he took his goal really, really well. And I left Edon till last because I actually thought it was really harsh hooking him at half-time from Spalletti, if I'm being honest. Because trust me, I've seen similar performances from Conceição, like Zagrova in that first half, and he's never been hooked at half-time. He always gets 70, 75 minutes before he gets hooked for someone else or Zagrova. So I thought playing Zagrova for only 45 was a little bit harsh. Maybe his fitness wasn't all there. Maybe he had a slight injury. I don't really know. No one really said anything on commentary. But if it was from a tactical perspective, in the first half, yes, Zagrova wasn't beating his man every time, or yes, Zagrova wasn't fully in the game, but no, none of our attackers really were. We're just a team in general. It was we weren't the better team in the first half. So I wouldn't pin that on Edon Zagrova whatsoever. I actually thought he was a decent spark when he had the ball and he was trying to create and he was trying his best. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from Zagrova. Not to say, though, that Conceição wasn't good when he came on, because he was good. And the subs were actually... They were good. Apart from like these 3 at the end, the game was already 2-0. So Kefren, Vasily and Juan didn't have the biggest impacts, right? The game was dead. But Conceição did play well when he came on. There was that one moment where he sort of flicked it over the defender's head and the keeper made a good save. That was a good move from him. And Apenda as well. Brought some energy, brought some pace in the final third. Not to say that I didn't like Conceição's performance when he came on, but I just wish I saw a little bit more of Zagrova, because I think Zagrova still could have impacted that game in the second half for sure. In terms of Pafos, bro, I mean, these guys, I'll give them credit in terms of their heart and desire. They definitely pushed hard and they're better than I thought. I knew David Luiz played for them. I'd never watched Pafos in my life. Orsic was there. I remember him. He used to play for Dynamo Zagreb, if I'm not mistaken. He scored a hat-trick against Tottenham, I want to say, in like a Europa League tie a few years ago. He was really good on FIFA. The rest, I didn't really know too much about, but they're a decent little team. But honestly, boys, that win there is massive for us, because now we're going to 17th. And that's what I love about the Champions League, the new format, bro. 1 win, and bro, your season changes like that. 2 wins in a row. We now go on to 9 points, and we are... How many points off top 8? We're 3 points off top 8. We're a win off top 8, look. Are we going to finish top 8? No. We're not, because these teams here, Atleti, still have to... Look, I highly doubt all these teams above us will just keep losing their games, and even if we win the next 2, we'll put us up to 15. These teams will probably all win, so it's going to be next to impossible to finish top 8. But top 24, we're in a good position. We are 3 points above the sort of, not the relegation zone, but the out of 24 zone. And look who we're up against, 3 points above Benfica. And our next game is, of course, against Benfica, January 21st. So we have a little while until the next Champions League games. A good amount of time after Christmas until we have to play. But big performances. We have to play Benfica, and we also have to play... Where the hell are they? Monaco. Where am I? Monaco are tied on points with us. They actually haven't lost in the Champions League, which is interesting, and that's away from home. Benfica we have a horrible record against, so we have to be careful. They did beat Napoli 2-0 today, though, which is... Okay, look, now this is going to be tough because we got battered by Napoli and Benfica. I didn't watch this game, of course, I watched Juventus, so comment section, Napoli fans, if you watch this game, let me know how you guys played. I don't know how you played, but hey, this is the team that played against us. This is the starting 11 that played against Juventus, bro. No, there was no difference. That was the starting 11 that played against us, and they lost to Benfica, so... Alright, that's not going to be easy. Plus, our record against Benfica is rough. However, I'm pretty sure to get top 24, we only really need 1 win out of the 2. But still, they're 2 toughish games, bro. Like, we could have been nice a little bit better with maybe like a Kyra Almaty to secure a win. But yeah, no, better performances. Definitely more positive signs. I like the 4-back. I'm begging Spalletti, please keep the 4-back going into the Bologna and future games. Please don't play a 5-back again. But let me know in the comment section what you thought. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, share it to some friends if you enjoyed. Follow me on all socials, and I'll see you in the next one.